Please stand for the invocation. Lord of creation, we have so much to be thankful for on this day of commencement. We are grateful for family and friends who supported these students through their years of study and personal growth. We're also grateful for the successes and triumphs that each one here has achieved to make it to this point. We're even thankful for the hardships and challenges that have made these students who they are, perhaps even more so than their successes. We ask that you bless our time together. May it be a joyous, beautiful, and memorable occasion for all. Amen. You may be seated.
Good afternoon to the Board of Governors and Board of Trustees, Ms. Roche, Mrs. Doherty, esteemed guests, faculty, alumni, family, friends, and to the fabulous class of 2019, welcome. Congratulations! We did it! We did it. We did it. My name is Hannah Meiji. And as you can tell, I am absolutely overjoyed to be speaking on behalf of my class. I really do love this school with every fiber of my being. I mean, come on, have you seen this place? Just look up right now. Imagine hand painting that ceiling. Impressive, right? I feel so blessed to have gone to a school as beautiful as Cranbrook for the past 4 years. But beyond the aesthetic value, this school has some of the most dedicated faculty to have ever graced education, and I know we wouldn't be where we are today without their hard work and passion for teaching. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the really important thing here, me. I am the youngest of 5 red-headed Meiji children, and also the final Meiji child to graduate from Cranbrook Kingswood. Come to think of it, my mom was actually pregnant with me at my brother Harrison's graduation. So I really was born to speak here. My siblings left me some big shoes to fill, but I feel fairly comfortable saying that I've had a pretty great high school career. However, there is one stain that makes me feel inadequate time and again, and that is my lack of a driver's license. You know, it's really not fun to be a senior and have to have everybody drive you around. My siblings love to make fun of me. How's the driving going, Hannah? It drives me crazy. I'm sorry, car puns are exhausting. Luckily, I have wonderful friends who are willing to give me rides to and from social events and school functions. Thank you, guys. I realized something on one of those late-night drives up and down Woodward. You can't control the circumstances you're given when you're on the road. Sometimes you leave your house at the perfect time. There's no traffic, you get only green lights, and your favorite song comes on shuffle, like the exact one you wanted to listen to, and you don't even know how that happened, but it's just perfect. And other times, you leave your house at the wrong time, you get stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic, you get every single red light, and Nickelback comes on the radio. And no matter the conditions, you just gotta push through and keep driving. Driving is a lot like life in that respect. Sometimes stuff happens, but you just gotta keep going. That being said, you're allowed to take breaks or pull over if you need a breather. In fact, I encourage drivers to do so for their own safety and the safety of others. You might even have to call AAA because your engine starts making those weird noises again. But that's okay. You can take those moments to learn about yourself and the journey and to grow as a driver and a person. To quote the musical masterpiece that is Life is a Highway by Rascal Flatts, there's a world outside every darkened door where the blues won't haunt you anymore. You just have to keep driving. You will make it to a destination. Maybe not the destination you wanted, but the destination you are meant to be at. Some of life's greatest moments happen because of detours. I mean, the real beauty of being a driver is that you get to pick what direction you're going in, and you can even change that if you want to. As long as you've got the keys and a gas tank full of dreams, you are ready to hit the road and begin your adventure. When you really think about it, the diplomas we receive today are like driver's licenses for life. In general, driving is associated with freedom and is considered a rite of passage. Sounds familiar, right? Up until now, we've had our learner's permits, with our parents sitting in the passenger side, praying to God we don't crash. But from now on, we won't have that supervision. Of course, our families will be there to love and support us, but life is our highway now. And because it's ours, we have to take care of it. Driving is so much more than operating a vehicle. You have to be aware of your emotions, changing road conditions, and the others around you. You must keep your eyes on the road and focus on the direction you're going, but do not forget to check your rearview mirror. You have to be able to reflect on where you've been, how you've gotten where you are, and who might be following you. A good driver isn't just in control of their emotions, but they understand that sometimes they need to take evasive action when others aren't paying attention, and not to let their lack of attention stop you from being a good driver. Some people may really aggravate you. They may cut you off, sideswipe you, tailgate you, or they might not even notice you. And that really grinds your gears. You have to be as aware as you want along the road. But at some point, you have to be prepared for those who aren't aware at all. It is your job to keep yourself and them safe, even if they are eating a sandwich and painting their nails on the freeway. Whether you drive a red pickup truck or an orange Subaru, you're still responsible for what happens when you're the one behind the wheel. Just as you take the lessons you've learned from driver's ed with you every time you drive, you will take what you've learned from Cranbrook with you as you go out into the world. Over the years, we've developed skills like analyzation, compassion, communication, manifestation, work ethic, and collaboration, and embraced traits of integrity, creativity, kindness, and responsibility. These qualities make us good drivers, but putting them into action will make us great ones. We will carry the memories and mistakes we've made at Cranbrook with us in our cars for the rest of our lives. I guess it's kind of like those Taco Bell wrappers you've had in your car for the last 4 months. No matter how many times you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm going to take those out," you're not going to. After all, they remind you of a happy, fulfilling, spicy, cheesy, memorable and meaningful time in your life. I know you will all make incredible drivers. To the class of 2019, rev up your engines and get ready for a wild ride. Oh, and wish me luck on my driver's test next week.
Good afternoon. President DeMarco, Board of Governors, Director of Schools Amy Claire Roche, Upper School Head Noel Doherty, esteemed colleagues, families and friends of families, and of course, all of you, the graduating class of 2019. First, let me say that I am honored to have been asked to give this speech today. Truly, thank you. Thinking about how to craft this speech, I, of course, wanted to focus my remarks on what would be memorable to you in the senior class. Being who I am, I started thinking that humor would be a good tact, and that, of course, got me thinking about my department, the Performing Arts Department. I have a very humorous department. Perhaps we can find a few pearls of wisdom for you to take with you through a few stories. A few years ago, one of our department members gave a speech right here in this church where he encouraged risk-taking. And to emphasize his point, he began singing at the top of his lungs, "I Feel Pretty" from West Side Story, accompanied by another department member on the piano. It was shocking. But he made his point, and we all had a good laugh about it. Well, when this same department member found out that I was the faculty speaker today, he excitedly volunteered to serve as my puppet at the podium. I would speak the words, and he would presumably move his mouth. An interesting and creative sounding recommendation. I thanked him politely, as any supportive department head would do, but indicated that I would try to get along without him as my puppet today. By the way, West Side Story is still one of my favorite musicals, but I just can't get that image of "I Feel Pretty" out of my head by that department member. Risk-taking can be an important part of your future, seniors. Know when it's appropriate, and then go for it if you feel it's the right decision. That brings me to a teaching partner, 40 years, now retired. Every Friday, she would tell the students in the bands at the end of their classes, make good choices. Good advice. Advice I took when that other department member volunteered to be a puppet for my speech here today. So seniors, keep this in mind. Make good choices. By the way, I carried on that tradition, and my students on Fridays would remind me to make good choices. I think as a way to get me to end class early. I would hear whispering voices saying, "Make good choices, Mr. H," about 20 minutes into the period. Yes, you know who you are. Okay. Another of my department members gave a speech in this church as well at the girls' graduation ceremony. Only when he got up to give his speech, it was at the wrong time in the program. Everyone around me was mouthing, "What the heck is so-and-so going up there now for?" There was a bit of a scramble to readjust the program, but it all worked out fine. The lesson, seniors, which he encouraged me to share with you, know when it's your time to shine, and of course, when it's not. What I hope you are hearing from these stories is that I love my performing arts colleagues. I do wish for all of you that whatever career path you choose, try to work with people you enjoy, maybe even love being around. In my case, I had the opportunity to pretty much handpick the entire department, so it has all worked out quite well. Therefore, seniors, I strongly encourage you to be in a position to hire everyone you work with yourselves. It's definitely a pathway to happiness. Collaboration, working together. This is especially true in performing arts and carries through in other fields as well. One area of performing arts that is truly a blend of our entire department and is, upon reflection, a tremendous amount of work, but usually doesn't feel like it, is the musical we produce every year. We combine vocal, instrumental, band, orchestra, theater, dance, crew, costuming into one massive performance opportunity. Mr. D, Mr. Gabriel, Mrs. Rediers, Mrs. Lortz, Mrs. Higgins, Mr. Ron, and Mr. H. Collaborations allow us to bounce ideas among the directors to find the best ways to showcase the students in our production. Each team member has input, significant input. I think collectively we often produce our very best work. Collaboration is a very effective model in the workplace. However, it is imperative that all members on the team are contributing, and as I said earlier, respect, like each other at least on a professional level, since there are inevitable differences of opinion that need to be expressed and worked through. I've personally found that our performing arts department is willing to bend rather than break. Collaboration. Seniors, I highly recommend collaboration when you have the opportunity. There's no question that the education you have received here has prepared you well and will serve you well throughout your lives. I've heard it time and time again from our graduates who come back to talk about how well they were prepared for college and beyond, way, way beyond. You have everything that will allow you to do anything you set your mind to. Of that, I am confident. It wasn't necessarily easy, but here we are today, and you're all about to graduate. You're really close. A dear friend, colleague, and my Cranbrook mentor, Chuck Giroux, spoke to seniors as the faculty speaker, and he reminisced at one point about his home in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. He told the students how important the pull was for him. After retiring from Cranbrook some 20 years ago, he actually bought a farm in Eau Claire and lives there to this day. I love that. He actually went back home. Home, though, I think, is really a state of mind, a foundational place, hopefully of comfort and love. For many of our dorm students, this has been home for years. For others of you, the extended days, nights, weekend involvement in athletics, concerts, recitals, performances, or with wilderness prep, debate team, or robotics made our community campus more and more your home, our home. You are about to become alumni. Alumni are welcome family members in this home of ours, and you should know that the faculty, in particular, is eager to hear from you as you start that next phase of your education in college, embark on careers. Yes, parents, that's on the horizon for them. They will eventually get jobs. Also, potentially starting your own families, perhaps even sending your children back to Cranbrook schools, back home. It is a strong pull, and you will all feel it at some point, I'm certain of it. Our children, Jared and Lise, feel the pull. Our daughter, Elise, class of 1999, now a doctor in Chicago with 3 beautiful children, is really feeling the pull as she looks at schools for her children and compares them to home. This school, this home, is a challenging place to find. Not impossible, but it's challenging. Another retired faculty member who has since passed on, Hal Smart, beloved art teacher at Brookside School, told me that he knew it was time for him to retire when he started teaching the grandchildren of the kids he taught when he first came to Brookside. Wow! I had a similar experience when our former babysitter, Mr. Jacob Hazard, who played with our children more often than babysat for them, and who describes Barbara and me as his first employers, became dean of faculty. He essentially became my boss. I knew it was time. Seniors, timing is important. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago, had loving parents, great brother, good friends. I'm first generation American, and my parents were Armenian. They actually spoke Armenian and English in our home until my older brother, Ken, went to kindergarten and mixed up a few words of Armenian with English. The teacher at that point called my parents and told them that they should only speak at home because the Armenian part was confusing him. Seniors, teachers make mistakes too. You will all make mistakes. We all do. That's okay, but try to learn from your mistakes and work hard to keep them to a minimum. English is a fine language, and so is Armenian. But back to my home parents for one more minute. I'll leave you with this. Whenever something very special took place in our home, a marriage, the birth of children, the purchase of a car or a home, a graduation, there was a wish for that. In Armenian, in our home, we would say, Anushala. We say it in our home today, and our children say it in their lives as well. Everyone, try that out. Repeat after me. Anu, Shala, Anushala. Well, that literally means sweet beginnings. Graduating seniors, I wish you all sweet beginnings. Anushala. Thank you.
I didn't realize I'd be crying when I gave this introduction. I'm bubbling over with excitement to introduce our commencement speaker, Dr. Cathy Sybert Olkin, Kingswood class of 1984. Holding an undergraduate degree in aeronautics and astronautics from MIT, a master's degree in aerospace engineering from Stanford, and a PhD in planetary science from MIT, Dr. Olkin is a planetary astronomer who plans missions to space for NASA so that human beings can better understand who we are and how our world came into being. Dr. Olkin was a deputy project scientist for the team that planned and executed the now famous New Horizons mission that sent a spacecraft through the solar system for nearly 10 years to examine Pluto and its moons, and later, Ultima Thule, a snowman-shaped asteroid in the Kuiper Belt at the very edge of our solar system. Dr. Olkin's new mission has her leading the design team that will build and launch a new solar-powered spacecraft that will fly into Jupiter's orbit to study 2 swarms of asteroids called the Trojan asteroids. These objects were captured in this orbit during the formation of our solar system and can teach us about the evolution of our solar system, the evolution of our home. The mission is called Lucy, named after the Australopithecus hominid fossil that transformed our understanding of the evolution of the human species. So too, this mission hopes to help us understand the evolution of our place in the universe. Dr. Olkin arrived at Kingswood in 11th grade, seeking out a more challenging and individualized educational environment. Dr. Olkin remembers taking AP Physics with Frank Norton, Russian Literature with Jeffrey Welch, French from Joyti Nagarkar, and playing tenor saxophone for Sarkis Halajian, my former employer. She fondly remembers running around our campus for cross country, developing a passion for nature and hiking through the wilderness program, and even remembers, as if it were yesterday, rappelling down the Cranbrook Tower. Don't get any ideas. Dr. Olkin describes her time here as transformative and cherishes the same virtues of her Kingswood experience that we champion, that this is a place where one finds the freedom to be intellectually curious, that this is a place where that intellect and curiosity are accepted and embraced by the entire community. Well, that was a very good thing for Dr. Olkin. When she arrived here in 11th grade, she perceived Kingswood as a fresh start, and she found a home here because we admire excellence. We celebrate difference, and as a community, we come together to make each other better. Well, if that's true, then we should come together now to welcome and admire this accomplished and impressive alumna. Let us show her with our applause how much we embrace and admire excellence. Please welcome our commencement speaker, Kingswood class of 1984, Dr. Cathy Olkin.
Thank you, Mr. Hazard, for the kind introduction, and we should probably give you a PhD for pulling off all those scientific details. That was outstanding. To the faculty, family, friends, and the Kingswood graduating class of 2019, thank you for inviting me to share this special day with you. I am honored. I once sat where you are now. AP tests were over. The weather was beautiful. Summer and then college were just outside those doors. I also remember everyone asking, where are you going to college? What are you going to study? Well, I thought I had all the answers. I was going to go to MIT, and then I was going to go to medical school, and then on to become a physician. Well, as you heard, that's not how it went. That trajectory I had envisioned didn't last even 1 year. Freshman year, as a pre-med student, I took classes like biology and organic chemistry. But as I got acclimated to college, I picked up my head and looked around and saw all these other exciting choices. By my sophomore year, I decided I wanted to be an aerospace engineer, because who wouldn't want to build a spacecraft? After college, I became an engineer specializing in interplanetary navigation. Yes, that is an actual thing. I investigated the best way for the Cassini spacecraft to loop through the Saturn system to visit all of its moons. As an engineer on the team, I would attend meetings with scientists. As I listened to them talk about Saturn's rings, I realized that I was going to need to change my path again. I was going to study the planets. So back to school I went, this time for a PhD in planetary astronomy. I have traveled to remote mountaintops in Chile and Hawaii to use some of the best telescopes in the world. I flew on an airborne observatory. This is an airplane with a hole cut in the middle so that the telescope can look out. I took this plane to the southernmost tip of South America to learn about the atmosphere of Neptune's moon, Triton. Some years later, I joined NASA's New Horizons mission, and we transformed our understanding of Pluto. Before our robotic spacecraft visited Pluto, the best images were just pixelated blobs. We couldn't discern any surface features. We knew so little about Pluto that we would debate if it even had mountains. But now we have detailed images from New Horizons, and we know that Pluto is a geologically complex world with mountains as tall as the Rockies and a glacier that's larger than the state of Michigan. My career has followed a meandering path, and with each twist and turn, I've found adventure and joy. My first piece of advice to you today is to seek out and follow your path. Lift up your head and take a look around. You never know what you might find. But every day isn't fun and exciting, no matter what you're doing. There's hard work necessary for any endeavor, and there are two things that I find essential. First is the sense that we are contributing positively to something larger than ourselves. And the second is to have a network of people who share your passion and support each other. What the public sees of my work is cool new scientific discovery, like seeing new worlds for the first time and finding things we never expected to see, like that glacier on Pluto. But the day-to-day reality isn't filled with discoveries and aha moments. It requires critical attention to detail, day after day, year after year, to safely shepherd a spacecraft across the solar system. It also requires perseverance. In fact, for New Horizons, it took more than 9 years to get to Pluto. To put this in perspective, the spacecraft launched in 2006, back when you were in kindergarten, and got to Pluto in 2015 when you were entering high school. And we are continuing to explore today. Some of you may even remember me coming to visit you at middle school and sharing the anticipation of the mission with you. For me, the effort over more than a decade was worth it because of the new knowledge we would gain and share with the world. This is what motivates me through the sustained, meticulous work that's required to get to those aha moments. This idea is probably best described by our search for a new object in the distant solar system for the New Horizons spacecraft to fly by after Pluto. Back in 2001, when NASA selected the New Horizons mission, it was always in the plan to fly by a small icy world in the outer solar system. Back when I was in school here, no one even knew that there was a ring of objects that shared an orbit with Pluto. Think of it like an asteroid belt, but located out past Neptune. We planned to send our spacecraft to visit one of these icy worlds in the outer solar system. The only problem was we didn't have a target identified, something that was near the path of our spacecraft. From our estimates, we figured if we worked hard enough, we would discover at least one object that the spacecraft could get to. Starting in 2004, we used some of the largest telescopes in the world, but we couldn't find a target that New Horizons could get to. The search was complicated because we had to discover an object that was in the direction of the Milky Way, the center of our galaxy, where the stars are the densest. We searched for years. By 2013, we still weren't successful, and I was really getting quite concerned that we might not have another target to fly by. So we asked to use the Hubble Space Telescope. Now, looking through the Hubble is like searching the sky through a soda straw. It's very hard. But the Hubble has a significant advantage that it's above our atmosphere, which really helps to find those faint things in a crowded star field. In the end, after a decade of searching, we finally found a target that the spacecraft could get to. Its name is 486-958-2014 MU69. But we call it MU69 or Ultima Thule for short. During this time, our team had to develop new methods for searching crowded star fields to detect very small objects from about 4 billion miles away. It took persistence in the face of failure year after year. This is the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. And what fuels this hard work and dedication to the task is the idea that what we are doing will advance our understanding of our place in the universe for all people everywhere. And it has. NASA's New Horizons spacecraft flew past MU-69 about 5 months ago. This small world, just 21 miles across, which is about the distance from here to downtown Detroit, has upended old models of planetary formation. This object looks like a flattened snowman, and from the clues we see today, we can learn about its formation. MU-69, the flattened snowman, started out as 2 separate objects that formed in the same area, and they orbited around each other, and they formed at the edge of the disk where planets were forming. These 2 objects, the eventual head and body of the snowman, would have orbited until they just gently merged into each other. And all of this new information has implications for how planets form, not only in our solar system, but in other solar systems. We had never seen an object like this before, a remnant of the building blocks of the planets. This is just one example of pursuing something greater than oneself. There are examples of this everywhere in every field, from teaching to engineering advances that will improve people's lives, to producing fine art or literature. The list goes on. I'm asking you to find that motivation within you that is greater than yourself and run with it. On our mission team, there are many more contributors than just the scientists and engineers. Without project managers, machinists, financial analysts, graphic artists, and many others, NASA's New Horizons mission would not be the success it is today. This brings me to my last point, teamwork. Having a cohesive team that can communicate clearly and work toward a common goal is really important. I recognized this importance and the strength of our New Horizons team on July 4th, 2015. That date stands out in my mind because we were just 10 days away from our closest approach to Pluto after launching the spacecraft 9.5 years earlier. It was supposed to be a quiet day for the spacecraft, so many of us took the 4th of July off. Then I got a message that the spacecraft had gone safe. Now, safe sounds like a good thing, but it's really not. It's like seeing the blue screen of death on a Windows computer. It meant that the spacecraft had a problem. I rushed over to our Mission Operations Center where the team was gathering. We had to proceed carefully because we didn't want to make any mistakes and make the situation worse. The spacecraft was traveling at more than 30,000 miles per hour, and we needed to get it back up and collecting data as soon as possible. As I sat in the Situation Room with my team, at first my heart was racing. I was worried that all the work of the past decade would be lost. But I looked across the table at my colleagues. These were people I knew well and trusted completely. My anxiousness evaporated because I knew every member of our team was dedicated to the task at hand, and that working as a team, we could solve the problem. We had overtaxed our spacecraft's computer, and it had switched to the backup computer. Now, you've got to remember that these computers were built in the early 2000s. My guess is that no one here uses a computer of that era for your work today. But that's what controls our spacecraft at the edge of the solar system. We worked for more than 3 days. People slept under desks, and pizza after pizza was brought in as we determined how to get the spacecraft back to an operational state. We determined what commands to send, then we sent them. It took 4.5 hours for the commands to travel to the spacecraft, and then another 4.5 hours for the return signal to be sent to the Earth. A cheer erupted when we got confirmation that the spacecraft was back up and running. And we started getting beautiful images of this world that I had been studying for more than a decade, just as a pixelated blob. Each image had more detail than the last. Not only did we see mountains and a glacier, but also skyscraper-sized ridges of methane ice and a potential ice volcano. This exploration was only possible because of teamwork and dedication. My reason for telling this story is that most endeavors today require a team, And this sense of camaraderie doesn't materialize overnight. It takes time and an attitude in each person that this will not fail because of me. I hope that when you are exploring your path in the future, you will recognize the importance of teamwork, of taking individual responsibility, and of raising the whole team with your actions. So, 3 lessons as you leave to explore your life beyond high school. First, seek out the unknown, embrace it, and never stop learning. Second, your life will be so much richer if you make it about something greater than yourself. We are built for exploration. We were made for learning and growing and reaching our potential, not just for our own satisfaction, but for the betterment of the earth and everyone on it. Finally, surround yourself with a team of friends and colleagues who share your vision and drive. Work together and support each other to achieve that which may seem impossible. I can't wait to see what each of you will accomplish. Congratulations, Kingswood Class of 2019.
Thank you again, Dr. Olkin. It is my privilege to welcome those alumni and alumni who have let us know they have returned to celebrate reunions and this commencement ceremony with the class of 2019. As Mr. Halajian said, in a school with Cranbrook Kingswood's rich history, there is often heard that siren call back to this campus, to look back as an alumna in snow-crowned age and rejoice, give thanks, and even sing. Rest assured, though, class of 2019, as much as our alumni and alumni come back to Cranbrook Kingswood to fondly reminisce, it is their support of you that brings them here today, as you yourself someday will. Their hope in and their anticipation of the promise that the next generation offers, that you offer, has drawn them here. Indeed, as much as Cranbrook Kingswood is an experience shared across ages, it is also an ever-evolving experience, training those who go forth and serve the needs and urgencies of the current day. As you meet challenge, defining better lives for yourself and others, class of 2019, these are your brothers and sisters, your supports, your counselors, your willing ambassadors, and able champions. So let us welcome them. Please stand and remain standing until all of our alumni and alumni have been recognized. And we will start with our distinguished alumna celebrating her 35th reunion, Cathy Sybert Olkin, 1984. Joined by trustees of the Cranbrook Educational Community, Robert Wilson, 1976, Deborah Wall, 1981, Lee Gesquire, 1982, Pamela Applebaum, 1983, Jameson Williams Feliski, 1986. Joined by Cranbrook Schools governors and governors emeriti, Donald Slotkin, 1954, Wade Measy, 1976, Charlene Royce Grandelius, 1978, Lori Frankel, 1979, Chase Brand, 1979, Matthew Trunsky, 1984, Corey Kroneman, 1997, Ryan Polk, 2013. Joined by those from the class of 1959 celebrating his 60th reunion, Richard Jameson Williams, Those from the class of 1984 celebrating their 35th reunion: Lori Dome Shanahan, Alex Eisenberg. And from other reunion classes: Karin Hartman Ludlow, 1978, Carolyn Hartman, 1980, Jan Mittenthal Rosen, 1983, Margaret Bookstein Bornstein, 1983, Michael Shanahan, 2015, Ali Rosen, 2016. Joined by alumni parents and grandparents of our graduating seniors: Barbara Hedrick Bowman Shermer, 1958, Robert Hamilton Shermer, 1958, Leslie Cohn Meiji, 1975, Julie Rodecker, 1977, Bob Gordon, 1981, Ann Kersel, 1981, Julie Stuhlberg Rothstein, 1983, Lena Harb Allison, 1984, John Harb, 1985, Carol Illich, 1985, Ekta Lobo Wilcox, 1989, Amina Watson Miller, 1989, Cathy Saznek Schwartz, 1990, Priscilla Crockett Amjad, 1996. In addition, we have many alumni who are brothers and sisters of graduates here today. May I ask all of our alumni siblings to please stand and join us? To be joined by our alumni faculty and staff: Daryl Taylor, 1970, Susan Akins Post, 1978, David Cohen, 1990, Jacob Hazard, 1992, Susan Strickland Muskowitz, 1997, Carolyn Moss, 2003, Hannah Robinson, 2005, Griffin Howell, 2007, Robert Tarchinsky, 2013. Joined by honorary alumni Sarkis Halajian, Richard Lamb, Charles Shaw, John Winter. At this time, I would ask all other alumni who are still seated to please stand and join us. And with that, let us welcome these members of the community. Thank you. I would also like to recognize our long-term faculty colleagues who are retiring this year. Please stand as we honor you. Sarkis Halajian for 44 years of service. Richard Lamb for 42 years of service. Cathy Regal for 40 years of service. And Sharon Peacock for 16 years of service. Colleagues, please know how grateful each of us are for all that you have given to Cranbrook schools over the course of your remarkable careers. You have inspired and you will be missed, but we send you off on your next adventure with our best wishes and sincere appreciation for all that you have done for your students, for your colleagues, and for this school. And for that, we are immensely grateful. And with that, class of 2019, know how much I have been grateful for this year with you and how proud I am. Young friends, it is time.
The
The faculty has discharged its duties to the Director of Schools. We have determined that all these members of the class of 2019 have met the requirements for graduation. On behalf of the faculty, I recommend to you the class of 2019 for the awarding of diplomas.
Kendall Madison Lynn Adams. Sophia Elaine Adams, cum laude. Mashad Afshar. Ho-Sun An. Grace Elizabeth Al-Sheikh. Skylar Kurtenbach Allison. Sydney Halla Allison. Yasmin Aisha Marsalan Avjan. Srijana Nagasai Anna Varapu. Mackenzie Jane Austin. Julia E. Bolton. Elizabeth Marie Boss. Grace Emily Carvetti. Lauren Elizabeth Cho. So Young Cho, cum laude. Catherine Elizabeth Cohen, cum laude. Grace Elizabeth Coleman. Kendall Ricky Conway. Mira Elizabeth Davis. Brooke Marie Sanchez de Movelin. Ria Dar. Megan May Dixon. Kaylee Rachel Eisenberg. Blair Isabel Fields. Leah Rose Silverman Frankel, cum laude. Olivia Jane Frickman. Alexa S. Gantz. Jessica Kristen Geiger. Lily Grace Gesquire. Marie Gillizan. Elizabeth Joanna Gilreath. Kate Mara Gordon. Sarah Grace Gorman. Jessica Frances Greening. Gabrielle Morgan Gross. Grace Ann Heidel. Lacey Hamilton. Sarah Mohammed Harb. Sophie Isabel Harb. Bobby Sarah Hartman. Jordan Geneva Hill. Catherine Frances Hoffley, cum laude. Charlotte Johann Holly. Shirin Hong. Zara Ali Husseini. Cum laude. Emily Kate Jones. Grace Ann Emerson Kersel Sullivan. Abigail Bryn Lavaroni. Sarah Catherine Lawler, cum laude. Sonia Lilu Lebenbaum. Alyssa S. Lee. Grace J.E. Lee, cum laude. Allison Faith Losi. Hannah Sadie Meiji, cum laude. Regan Elizabeth Malazak. Josephine Jane McRoberts. Maycine Maraway. Armani Morgan Messner. Aya Miller. Camille Concepcion Misra. Safronia Nicole Moustakis. Simran Nagaraju. Jessica Lee Norris. Claire Marshall Pierce. Rafaela Geneva Peralt Victor. Chi Nok Lin Fan. Selena B. Praka Asante, cum laude. Elizabeth Annie Reese. Sasha Bella Ritchie, cum laude. Lena Danielle Roberts. Tess Samantha Rosenthal. Elizabeth Grace Rothstein, cum laude. Emma Elizabeth Sable. Sierra Ruth Safian. Lauren Dana Softa. Leah Christiane Schottenman. Claire Ruby Schwartz. Anya Shah. Serena S. Sheth. Selena Shi, cum laude. Jade Michael Sybert. Eliana Juliette Silverman, cum laude. Raina Soman. Anna Fisher Steckschulte. Vanessa Laura Straub. Margaret Stutz. Giaio Su. Brandon Lee Tate. Ava Susanna Trepik. Hope Jiawat Sai, cum laude. Desai Wang, cum laude. Lillian Louise Wege. Dale Palmer Wells. Natalie Kumari Wilcox. Ariel Elise Williams. Emerson Dora Woodbury. Suzanne Xiao Wu, cum laude. Yutrin Ariana Jiao. Bonnie Zhu. Dina Drake, cum laude. It is my pleasure to introduce you to the class of 2019. Congratulations.
We rise for the singing of America. We invite the members of the board, faculty, and alumni to join the graduates in the singing of the school song.
Let us pray. God of heaven and earth, we send these young women out from Cranbrook Kingswood and ask for your blessing. As they aim high and go forth to serve, help them not to neglect those who are often named as lowly, the poor, the marginalized, and those who are suffering. Give us all discerning eyes and ears to help others, especially those whom we might normally neglect and fail to notice. Give each student safety, direction, and courage. Help them to use everything they've learned and become, over their years here, to the very best of their abilities. Bless parents and families as well. Give them peace in this time of transition, and graciously provide students and parents with divine wisdom to navigate the future that awaits. Finally, we also ask for a restful and rejuvenating summer for all students, parents, staff, and faculty. Empower us all to be a blessing to others in everything that we do. Amen.
We now invite the guests to please stand.
school.